What if the song is about to start, but you don't know if they're going to run through the opening a couple of times before they do it? What should you watch for? Well, stick around and find out. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, what I watch for when the music is about to start and I'm running slides in ProPresenter. Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you've ever brought up a slide too early or too late, even though you were watching intently, tell me about it in the comments below. So this is something that I noticed about myself is there are certain things that I look for when I'm running slides that I don't think that I've talked about before. Now, I've talked about how I make sure that I go to practice and I make sure that I have the arrangement down, at least based on what they say that they're going to do and what they have practiced multiple times. So I do that. But what about when you're actually running slides? What do you do in order to enable a good situation? I could probably say that better, but you know what I'm talking about, where you put the slide in at just the right time. Well, the first thing that I do is I pay attention to whoever is leading the song. And I pay attention to their body placement or mouth placement or what have you in reference to the microphone. Now, this doesn't work if someone is wearing a headset microphone like I'm doing. But if they have a handheld microphone or a microphone on a stand, they will often telegraph when they're about ready to start. And they'll do that by leaning in or taking the handheld microphone and bringing it up to their mouth, etc. So that's what I would look for, is any of those gestures that after you've done this with the worship leader for a while, you'll start to notice some of their mannerisms that kind of indicate, okay, we're getting ready to start. Now, also keep in mind that the music should match that. So if they start talking and the music doesn't seem like it's getting ready to match the first slide that you've got, just pay attention, because it could be that they're going to say, hey, welcome everyone to church, or hey, pray with me, or what have you. So it is very important that both the music says we're about to start and the body of the person that's leading, what they're doing with their gestures, what they're doing with their body position, what they're doing with their hands, etc. All of those will help you know. Now, what about in the middle of a song? Well, if there's like an interlude, a musical thing, you might notice something very similar. And sometimes I can't tell if they're going to do a loop 2 or 3 times, or I sometimes lose count, what have you. So it's worth, again, paying attention to their body position, what their hands are doing, etc., as to if they're getting ready to start the next section. Now, what about when you're switching slides? Well, I think I've talked about this before, but I always look towards the end of the slide, and I'm watching the last couple of syllables like a hawk while I'm listening with my ears to hear what they're saying. And when I hear them go into those last couple of syllables, I'll tap the space bar. I think I've mentioned before that I'm a big fan of using the space bar instead of the right arrow key, just because that sucker's big and it's easy to tell. Like right now you can tell I'm looking right at the camera, but I can tell that my thumb is in fact on the space bar. Unlike now, when I can kind of tell that it's on the right arrow key, but depending on my keyboard, it might not be as apparent. So that's why I do that. So those are just a couple of quick tips. We didn't dive into ProPresenter itself today, but I have noticed that that's a little bit of information that I hadn't shared before of what I personally do when I'm running slides on a Sunday morning or whenever we have church. I also, when we put up a slide for the pastor, usually I won't anticipate the pastor. I will wait until the pastor starts doing the slide. So there are slide leaders and slide followers, and you've got to know which your pastor is. One time I was running slides for an elder at my church, and unbeknownst to me, he was a slide follower. So he waited until he saw the slide up on the screen, and then he would say that. So when it sounded like he was talking about something else, I thought, oh, he skipped this section. And I went to the next slide, and he goes, oh, the slides are out of order. I'm like, no, they're not. You were talking about this next section. But the next time that I ran slides for him, I knew he's a slide follower. So I need to anticipate what he's saying. Most pastors, on the other hand, are slide leaders. They will say what they need to say, and then the slide should come up immediately after that. Of course, that doesn't include people that use remotes or what have you. But keep that in mind as you're going through the speaking portion of your church service or event. If you like this content, you'd probably like my ProPresenter Quick Start course, so head on over to TDM.fyi/proquick. Give me your name and email address, and I'll make a login for you for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.